Juan Reyes, and he is speaking on China to modern medicine, the notion of spiritual healing.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys have enjoyed the past three presentations that have been here at this time. My name is Juan Reyes, and I'll be presenting to you guys China to Modern Medicine, the notion of spiritual healing. To begin with my research question, I start off with how did medicinal cannibalism evolve throughout history and what influences might it have on today's medical practice? And to begin with that, we need to start where it originated. Oops. There we go. How did medicinal cannibalism start? So we begin with, firstly, sorry, it's a little laggy right now. The Chinese Empire. So we start off with what was first recorded as medicinal cannibalism in the latter Han period, which was in 25 to 2020 CE. Later down the line, as history goes, it became popularized or common to practice until the Qing dynasty. Scholar Qi Rei Chong mentions that this was used for medicinal purposes for curative uses. And the medicinal practices that was used ranged from human nails to human flesh. As we see here in the first footnote, that pathology professor Thomas Chen states that nail, hair, skin, milk, urine sediment, gall, placenta, and human flesh were used in these practices. And then we move on into sorry, it's a little laggy right now. There we go. Into Greek medicine in the 2nd century. And here we have our physician, or Greek physician, Gladius Galenus, who emphasizes the 4 humors, that being blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. And furthermore, he emphasized in the use of blood, to the point that he prescribed his patients for bloodletting for many illnesses that range from common illnesses to severe. This practice was used for either drying it or for mixing it into an elixir. As we see here in the first footnote of Claudius Galenus, he saw that those 4 humors were for maintaining health mentally and physically. And in the second humor, a little fun fact, but also really disturbing. In public executions, note that in public executions, people with severe illnesses, especially with epilepsy, went up with cup in hand ready for the executed blood to drip down into their cup and ready to drink it. Disturbing, really disturbing, but fun fact, I should say. And then we move on into Persian medicine. At this time, there was no recorded usage of medicinal cannibalism based on my research, but they did ingest the mineral that we see right here, bitumen. Persians ingested and applied bitumen to their body, or they ate it. We see here in Persian physician Rahaz adopted the word mamia. And the reason why is because that during his time it resembled the embalmed mummy. And because of this, 11th century Common Era Persian physician Avicenna first used bitumen as a medicinal purpose, medicinal substance. Pardon. But then later down the line, as we transfer from Arabic medical manuscripts into Latin translations of said manuscripts, it was mistranslated into black asphalt to embalmed mummy. And we see here in the first footnote that it had a double meaning. Bitumen that came from nature, and the black substance that was found in the embalmed mummy, as we see here. And then we move on into mamia. What is mamia? It was an asphalt wax found in 10th century Persia, and this was used to embalm the cadavers of said person to prevent from decaying or block microbiome that would decay the body. And from this, we see that the mistranslation by Italian translator Jared of Cremona, who states that, or define mumia as substance found in land where bodies are buried. Now, I should note that mumia and bitumen are intertwined as bitumen and mumia. Both of them mean the same thing. And then the result of the mumia usage, the result of this mistranslation. So because of this, it was believed that it contained the spirit of the body. Precisely, it was used to heal a specific body part of the patient. For the example that I put, the example that I put, say that the patient has a withered hand. Said physician will prescribe the patient to dig up an Egyptian mummy that is embalmed in bitumen or mumia. They would cut off the hand that they needed for their withered hand to be healed. They'd grind it up and they would ingest it into their bodies. And because of this, we see that Swiss alchemist Paracelsus, during the 16th century, he emphasized of this medical doctrine. He was the one that prescribed his patients and as well mentioned to the medical doctrine to continue use of mumia. And as he quotes, so it is that the spirit holds concealed within itself the virtue and power, die Kraft Wundtungen of the thing, and not the body. For the body can be destroyed and corrupted in various ways, but not the spirit. In other words, the spirit cannot be destroyed, nor can it be erased. Rather, the deceased is dead, but the spirit still remains in that body. And it was believed throughout history that if you would cut off a body part of said embalmed mummy, the spirit that was in that body part would still have healing properties. So, we get to the dark part. Medieval Europe. This, in my research, in the 12th century, Europeans had ate Egyptian mummies to cure for their illnesses. This lasted until the 18th century. Quite amazing, really. Quite amazing that this lasted for 5-6 centuries. But then we see with religious people, the Renaissance Enlightened Christians, that range from Spain, England, Germany, and elsewhere to use medicinal cannibalism. And as zoologist Bill Schutt says, it was treated for a long list of problems. It ranged from body aches, it ranged from ingestion, it ranged from headaches, it ranged from severe illnesses or diseases at that time. But it began with the unwashed masses. And those unwashed masses are from commoners to peasant. But then it was later adopted into the enlightened, pious, and well-heeled, which were the higher part of society of Europe. As stated here in the first footnote, British royalty and upper-class society made concoctions of human body parts until the 18th century. So why does this matter now? Why does it matter into today's modern era of society? For that, I listed off 3 things. What is the belief of healing that is shared between past and present day medicine? Spiritual concepts still lingering? Is the belief that healing adopting the deceased and putting it into your own body, does that still linger with a spiritual concept or a spiritual belief that still lingers around today? My second one, what attributions did Paracelsus contribute to understanding medicine? In other words, how did his mistranslation or belief of the spirit had a connotation or a connection to healing properties of the deceased? And lastly, what is the relationship between eater and eaten? In other words, donor and donor recipient. Is it under medicinal cannibalism? Or is it just ritual cannibalism? Or is it just redefined in another way that we see that it's acknowledged as medical advancement? And I have modern examples here today. With surgical procedures, we see with organ transplants, mumia bringing back to the life. We see the similarities of Europeans ingesting mumia or bitumen. And I want to note that between those two connections, how is it that bringing a organ into your body from the deceased brings you life? And what way did that coincide with past usages of mumia? Bone and skin grafts. The Persians had ingested bitumen, and in similarities as of now, bringing into skin grafts and bone grafts, which are applying new skin or using skin from another patient into your own body. In other words, is there a spiritual concept between that? Is that still lingering today? And with blood infusions, Galenus, who emphasized that the four humors of the body, emphasized the use of blood. And then we see here today with bloodletting, it either what's it called? Ooh, I'm having a little brain fart here. Either letting go of blood or adding more blood into your bloodstream. And lastly, postpartum depression treatment, otherwise known as placenta pills. What Paracelsus mentioned is that eat what ails you. Dig up the Egyptian body and eat whatever body part that you need that needs to be healed. And in the same way, the mother who has the baby in her womb, the placenta that's in her womb, it still has the, what I've noted, the same cells that resides in her, and she would ingest the same cells that she produced as well. And furthermore, I want to go more deeper into my research, which are, is it unethical to use the deceased by reducing them to flesh and bone? In other words, the expiration of the body. How did opening the body further advance in medical science? And how did it continue to grow in modern medicine? And understanding the taboo of dissecting a human body led to medical advancements. How did this fear of staying away from the body that was already dead and leave it be? How did that fear turn into curiosity? And how did that also lead into medical technology as in today's modern medicine? And lastly, how do we see organ donors compared to grinding corpses? As I mentioned in my two previous slides, medicinal versus ritual cannibalism. Do they fall under the same category? Or is it just redefined as a new invention of medicine? And here are my works cited, all my research. There should be another slide right here. There we go. My name is Juan Reyes, and I'm glad to have presented to you this subject.
All right. Thank you, Juan.